Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I became mayor when Chuck Camp had hair.
And Tim's was jet black.
Exactly. Oh boy, it's good to see friendly faces again. Good to see Chuck and Tom. Welcome back. Welcome home. So welcome to Appleton. And before I forget, welcome on behalf of Valley Transit. It's good to have you here. Wow. Okay, you get the official welcome first. Welcome to Appleton. It's a great place. Hope you have time to walk around, spend some money, and come back and see us often. Okay? All right, there you go. If you happen to be here for the weekend, we had just a small little party outside on Saturday with about 100,000 people walking around. Valley Transit was very active, providing rides to outlots for our annual Oktoberfest. So I know they're running on fumes here, but this is a very important event for them. So I want to talk a few minutes about what it is that you do, what it is that we do in terms of transportation and how important that is. So I'm trying to think what tack I want to take here. Let's talk about funding for a minute. Wow. When Chuck Camp was still here in Appleton, we started talking about and having conversations about 2010 and what was going to happen, what we knew was going to happen in 2010. And what was going to happen in 2010 is we knew that the Fox Cities was going to hit that federal threshold for population, and we were going to be pushed into a category where we were going to lose our federal operating assistance. And that was kind of a scary thing. And we started talking to some other leaders around the state, and I think as early as 2003 or 2004, Chuck, we had meetings down in Madison where we had representatives of a lot of your systems started to talk about transportation on a regional basis. And what would that be like? And can we take a little different approach and started talking about transportation authorities, RTAs. And we found out that, gee, the people over in Eau Claire were interested, the people in Wausau were interested, the people in Janesville were interested, and the people in Milwaukee were interested. And we started to ramp up that conversation, and we had more meetings over the years, and got pretty serious about it, and had started to draft some legislation. Now, to make a long story short, I've been involved in this issue of transportation in Wisconsin, trying to figure out a way that we can fund transportation on a regional basis, which more greatly reflects the way that we provide service. Because this state is really not is not made up of cities, towns, and villages. It's made up of economic regions where people go back and forth to work across municipal boundaries. And isn't that what we're about? Getting people to and from work. And so, shouldn't we figure out a way to fund this type of a service in a way that reflects the way that it's used? It just makes so much sense to me. Needless to say, it doesn't make sense to some people in Madison. And it becomes political. And it's been interesting, it's been very challenging. And we're not there yet. We need to keep working on this. In terms of Valley Transit, under the leadership of Chuck and now Deborah, we have knit together a regional system that looks as close to an RTA as we can get without having the authority from the state. We've got 23 different funding partners that help fund all the services that Valley Transit operates. Our funding partners stretch from Kaukauna down to Neenah and every municipality in between, including 3 different counties, a number of nonprofits, the local community foundation, the local United Way, all help to fund the services provided by Valley Transit. And just recently, we opened up membership. Now, understand, Valley Transit's owned and operated by the City of Appleton. The City of Appleton Common Council makes the final decisions when it comes to Valley Transit. But our Transit Commission now has representatives from every municipal funding partner. Everybody has representation on our Transit Commission now. It's a little unwieldy. Membership is what, 15 now? Yeah. 15 members on our Transit Commission. But we couldn't get there unless we had this long history of trust and relationships within the region. So what we've tried to do is put together a governance structure that might look similar to what we might have the day that we finally get the authorization to have an RTA. So, like I said, it's been frustrating because we've gotten close. And you know what? As much of a partisan issue as this seems to be, it's really not, because we've passed it through a Republican House and we've passed it through a Democratic House, and it's always the other house that tends to hold it up. And that's happened a couple different sessions over the last several years. But we'll get there. We will get there. And you know why we'll get there? We'll get there because the world is changing. And what I mean by that is the world is changing in a way that transportation, especially public transportation, is becoming more important to the people who live in our cities and in our regions. We have, I think, started to turn the corner where, in a lot of places where this was not the case for a lot of us, we've started to turn the corner where people are choosing public transportation. They're choosing it. There's a generation that is coming into power, who understand they have power, who are very confident, who know what they want, and they're willing to go out and get it, who are out there saying, I don't need a car. I don't want a car. I want to live in a place where I can walk and where I can bike and where I can hop on a well-run, efficient public transportation system to get me to and from the places I need to go. That's what's happening all across this country. I'm talking to Chuck, he's saying, oh my gosh, he's got to add buses because his buses are filled up, because that's what Madison's ahead of the rest of us. But it's coming. We're seeing it happen here. More and more people are choosing Valley Transit, not because they have to, because they want to. And so those are the people we need to educate in terms of how these systems are funded, how they operate, and what they need in the future to really meet the needs of not just our current, but our future residents in these regions. When we do that, we're going to succeed. The state will succeed when we do that. Our cities will now take that next step towards becoming cities of choice for people to live. They can check that one off the list. Is it safe? Yeah. Is it clean? Does it have good public transportation? Yes. It's on that list of things that people look for when making up their mind where they want to live. So, it's important. What we're doing is important. And in an ever-changing world and society, it's becoming more and more important. So thank you for what you do. I look forward to working with all of you, with this new legislature who is going to get it. They're going to get it. And they're going to pass this legislation to help us and allow us, just give us permission to ask the question of our own citizens. Do they want to pay a little extra tax for a more efficient and effective public transportation system? I just want permission to ask the question. We'll do the heavy lifting. Just give us permission. So, with that, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're in Appleton. I hope you enjoy your stay. And now I have the great honor of introducing a friend of mine a friend of ours, a friend of all of ours. And I am so proud that he represents me in Washington, D.C., especially on these transportation issues. So when we had those conversations about falling off the cliff with federal funding and pushed so hard in Madison to try to find a solution to give us an opportunity to ask that question locally, and we're running up against obstacles and failing, there was another option. And that option lied with all we needed was an act of Congress. That's it. That's all we needed. That was another option out there. So we took the easy route. We went for the act of Congress. And I can tell you that had it not been for Congressman Reed Ribble, we'd be in a world of hurt right now. I know Valley Transit would, and Green Bay Transit would too, because we're the ones that hit that threshold. But when Congressman Ribble came to office, and we sat down with him, and our representatives from Valley Transit sat down with him and explained to him the situation and what was coming, he asked some really good questions, some tough questions, but he understood what the problem was. He said, let me see what I can do. And he worked with his colleagues in Washington and got an amendment in the last transportation bill, MAP 21, that allows not just Valley Transit and not just Green Bay Metro, but mid-sized transit systems all across the country that were headed towards that cliff. It allows them to continue to get federal operating assistance so that they can continue to provide those services. So we're very thankful for Congressman Ribble's work and his diligence and his attention to this problem, but many others. So I'm very happy to introduce my friend, our Congressman, Congressman Reed Ribble.